Thanks, Annette. And I'm aware we're at sort of this end of the day, and I really appreciate all of those of you that have stayed here this afternoon. I've got a little bit of a cold, so I'm a little bit wobbly. And this slide went a bit wobbly too, so it must be just a reflection of me. But I think there's no question, we know that the digital world has transformed our lives and will continue to transform our lives. The digital revolution is here to stay. We've had PowerPoints all day today, and that was unheard of just a few years ago. There was a paper written fairly recently in the UK where there was a quote, and it's about the e-mental health revolution and what's occurring in e-mental health around the world. And there was a quote that said that e-mental health has the potential to support cultural transformation and move us towards a social model of health, empowering service users to exercise greater choice and control and manage their own conditions. And I think when you think about the accessibility issues and the challenges that are facing us globally, there is never going to be enough clinicians to meet the need in the community. So if you think about the preventative model, the pyramid, the self-care piece at the bottom of the pyramid is huge, and that's very much what we've heard today, is about equipping the community, equipping all of us, becoming equipped, the mates in construction, equipping people in communities, in all sorts of different cultural groups, to be able to be there to support each other at a time of need and refer on when needed to professional help. But the broad base of community support of this is everyone's business is really a crucial element and a crucial aspect of what we need to do to be able to prevent suicide worldwide. There's a wonderful YouTube, if you ever get to listen to it, a TED talk by Dr Vikram Patel, who's this fabulous psychiatrist and researcher from India. And when you think about the challenges of a population of about 1 billion people, but where there's around about 180,000 suicides every year, how do you possibly create a set of programs or a mental health system that can meet the needs in such an enormous population? You can't. And so he talks about the democratization of mental health services, so putting the information into the hands of the people. And that's very much what I'm here to talk about, is the power of social media and online services to be able to give people control of information, access to information, and the internet is just this marvellous tool. And Jay Lee, I think, spoke to us this morning about challenging us to think about this digital world as a great opportunity to put information and resources and ways for people to connect in new ways into the hands of people, and much more accessible than face-to-face services will ever be. Well, that's not very bright, is it? So for those of you who can't see that, which is very difficult to see, is just really saying that the global issues around suicide prevention are common really in most of the developed world. There are at-risk demographics, stigma is a huge issue, poor access to help, and many risk factors. And generally speaking, right across the developed world, 3/4 of people who suicide are not in contact with mental health services. So there's a huge demographic, wherever you are, of people who actually just don't access services. So only 1 in about 3 or 4 of people known to have depression or anxiety disorders receive treatment. And self and other stigma, the cost of services, availability, trust levels, uncertainty, etc., are all barriers to people getting access to mental health, to traditional mental health services, which is where online services and online support groups provide a huge opportunity, not for everybody, but for some people in the community, for those that are more inclined to something that perhaps is more anonymous and more personal. In Australia, we have, you can probably tell from my accent, I'm Australian, and we have just last year launched an e-mental health strategy. And one of the quotes from the minister there says that improved e-mental health services lead to improved mental health outcomes. There's been an enormous amount of research now done around the world around e-mental health. And in the early days, there were lots of questions. Can you get the same outcomes online as you can with face-to-face? And we now know that absolutely you can. There are variabilities, but generally speaking, the outcomes are very similar. And it depends very much on the connection between the person and the service and the type of service. So through the scaling up of existing services and the utilisation of new technologies, a mature e-mental health system can be developed, offering high quality services to consumers and carers in a timely and efficient fashion, integrated into the broader primary healthcare system. So it's not to replace the broader primary health system, but it's to complement and to support. For many people who use online services and online chat rooms, they are receiving treatment from primary health professionals. They do have a diagnosis, they may be taking medication, but this is a complement to that, to assist them to stay well and to keep well, and to get support when they need it at a convenient time for them. There was a research fellowship conducted in the last couple of years by the Australian National University, and there were 5 key policy recommendations, and this was conducted by Dr Helen Christensen and Dr Kathy Griffiths. Dr Helen Christensen now heads up the Black Dog Foundation in Australia, and she's an internationally renowned researcher in e-mental health. And these were the 5 things that they said needed really to happen to expand e-mental health more broadly. Expand self-help models to provide direct access to mental health information and automated therapy. So giving people access themselves, not having to go through a third party. Develop virtual health care clinics. So people being able to access clinicians online, virtual clinics that provide direct treatment through online services and telephone contact. We know that these work, they're being developed more and more throughout the world. Expand and refine fully integrated models. So how do we integrate what we're doing face-to-face with what we're doing online and make that work in a seamless way for people so that people's information can be shared and their tests and their results can be shared as well. Investigate the current use of e-health programs in general practice and introduce formal consumer-driven services employing e-self-help models. So I'm just going to take you into a case study of one of these because I've only got a brief few minutes to take you through this, which is the Big White Wall. As Annette said, that I'm a director of Big White Wall for Australia and New Zealand, but this was developed in the UK by a non-government social enterprise and a couple of very savvy women, and its model reduces the impact of stigma and other barriers and reaches people at risk, providing a pathway for access to mental health services. And it's now available free to anyone who lives in Auckland. All you have to do is put your Auckland postcode in, and it's free as a result of the Auckland District Health Board funding. So this is very much a person-centred approach. So it's very consumer-driven. Available is a support network. So there's a large community of about 15,000 people, peer-to-peer support. There's guided support by trained counsellors, and live therapies available in the UK, not here in Auckland. So again, you can't read that very easily, but it's professionally managed 24/7. There are clinical and clinical tests that can be done. So the GAD7, PHQ9, all the clinical tests are there, so people can do their own testing. There's a peer support network, so it's a very light touch by the clinicians and by the counsellors. It's mostly the peer-to-peer support that goes on. So when you log on, it's basically like Facebook online, but it's a safe environment where there's guided support and clinical support, but the first touch is usually the other people that are in the community that support each other. And you have options to be able to create your own groups, join groups, just look, do art therapy for people who might have literacy barriers. There's a huge amount of literature and information on all sorts of topics: smoking cessation, weight management, alcohol and other addiction control. Because as we know, mental health and mental illness and suicide ideation doesn't happen in isolation of the rest of life and other issues that people are dealing with. So there's a whole range of supports. The way that the site is designed, it's very non-clinical in its language. It's very lay terms, very easy to understand, non-discriminatory, generic, so that anybody can feel comfortable and at home. And it's very much designed so that you can go in and create your own space within the community. You can interact and engage within the community in a way that suits you. There's no one pressuring you to do anything in a particular way, but there is a pathway to further help if you do need it. At any time during, while you're in the site, you can ask for help from one of the wall guides, which are the counsellors, and they'll be there to respond to you. As I said, in the UK, you can access live therapy, so you can book online, you can choose your own therapist, and after the session you can rate the therapist. So that's quite an innovative and possibly a little scary for the therapists. So you can do it at any time that suits you, in the middle of the night, after hours, and of course most people that access this service do access after hours. Most people who are using the service are working, so it suits people who otherwise might not, other services might not be accessible to them. As I said, there's a pathway where you can do assessments. All the clinical tests are in there, all the validated clinical tests. You can download fact sheets. You can join self-help small groups, I should say. You can chat to other people. So it's all there and safely monitored by other people. Brief number of some demographics for you. About 30% of the male members are aged between 35 and 54, so and about 24% of those are male veterans, so either serving or non-serving. So there's a lot of veterans who use this site, and probably because in the UK they have made it freely accessible to all personnel serving or non-serving from the military. Men in full-time work and veterans are significantly less likely to access other health services. 25% of the members report suicidal ideation. So this is a community of people who are thinking about suicide, and 20% have reported self-harm in the past, and 21% screen positive for suicidal ideation. With the live therapy, everyone does the screening tests, but in the general site, you're not mandated to do the screening. So it's a safe, stigma-free place for people to be able to tell their stories. We heard this morning about how important it is for people to be able to tell their story and to do that in a safe way. This is a very safe place for people to be able to go and talk to others and tell their story. Often people feel like they don't want to be a burden to their family and friends, and they want to be able to talk about their own trauma or other issues. And so this is a place where people can go that's very safe to be able to do that. And it's 24/7, of course, and reaching groups that wouldn't normally get access or seek access elsewhere. There's risk management, a whole lot of good governance in place. The whole site is monitored by the Tavistock and Portman, who are a very well respected clinical organisation in the UK, and again supported by the ADHD in New Zealand. So there's a whole range of clinical governance supports, risk management protocols. So there's danger signs that are flagged at the back end. So the wall guides that are watching the site 24/7 know when a danger word might be used if somebody's not safe, so they can immediately check on that conversation, make sure the person's safe. And just so a significant number of the wall guides or the counsellors are actually based here in Auckland to take advantage of the 24/7 clock around the world. So it's very much a global site and aiming to be a global site, so people can make it their own cultural space within, so people start groups on all kinds of issues and people from all different cultural groups within the site. So there's a wide variety of issues that people can talk about. And these are the results. So 95% of members feel better, 73% of people share an issue for the first time, 80% of people feel that they can self-manage their own illness much more effectively with the use of the site, and it's saving money. I've just put the equivalent dollars there for health services. And on the live therapy, they're seeing a significantly higher recovery rate for people accessing the live therapy, 58% compared to 50% in the general service. So I'll just finish on this quote. There are many, many stories. There was a point that I wanted to end it all, but realising that no one's perfect and everyone has their own struggles has taught me not to be so harsh on myself. So it's part of being that community where you can talk to others who are going through the same stuff as you. It makes a big difference for people. Thank you.